Halloween 6, the origin of Michael Myers.
Hey guys, so I just finished watching Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, starring Donald Pleasence in his last role. Unfortunately, he passed away after this one. Paul Rudd in his first movie role as Tommy Doyle, the kid from that first Halloween movie that Laurie Strode was babysitting. Marianne Hagen as Cara Strode. Mitchell Ryan as Dr. Wynn. Kim Darby as Deborah Strode. Bradford English as John Strode. Keith Bogart as Tim Strode. Mariah O'Brien as Beth. And J.C. Brandy as Jamie Lloyd. Yes, Danielle Harris hasn't come back for this one. Jamie Lloyd has been played by another actress. Danielle Harris wanted to come back, but the producers of the movie wouldn't give her the $5,000 that she was asking for. I guess that would have blown the budget. She was only 17 at the time of the filming as well, so she had to actually extradite herself from her family so that she could work longer hours. So she spent thousands of dollars on all these legal fees to do that, so that she could work in the movie. And then when she started seeing the script and the direction the film was going, she gratefully reneged. So, smart move, Danielle Harris. So this movie, I watched the producer's cut. I saw the theatrical cut years ago. I never really enjoyed watching it. From memory, it was just a mediocre piece of garbage. I mean, the film was okay to a certain point, and I'll get to that, but the ending was just so weird and strange that it just kind of all falls apart. Now, they were doing reshoots to this film. Donald Pleasence passed away, so they couldn't use him to reshoot. So they had to kind of use what they had. And what they were left with, and the way they edited it, was just an incomprehensible mess of a film. And it really, really suffered. Now, we've got the producer's cut, and the producers being Malek Arked, Mustafa Arked, and Paul Freeman. So I don't know which one of these guys actually took the reins and re-edited this film and gave us what I watched today. But as a film, yeah, colour me surprised. I think I actually enjoyed this one more than part 4 and part 5. The ending was still horrible, and I really, really hate all that Thorn stuff, all the Druid stuff about Michael being cursed, and that's why he is what he is. Horrible, it really is. But as a film, I actually found myself, from memory, expecting it to suck badly and never seeing the producer's cut before. I was pleasantly surprised about how much I actually enjoyed this one. It was okay. It was more streamlined in structure than part 5, and it made a little bit more sense, and I actually enjoyed watching it. So yeah, there's that. Who knew? And we have George P. Wilbur back as the Shape from part 4 in this one too, so that's nice. Yeah, it was a real novelty seeing Paul Rudd in this film. We had the Ant-Man in one of his first movie roles, and he's quite good in it. You can see why the guy's going to become a superstar later on in his career. I really enjoyed watching him on screen. Now, this one pretty much takes up directly after the events of part 5, which was set in 1989. This one's now in 1995, so 6 years have passed in real time. Jamie Lloyd was 11 or 12 in that last film. Her character now is 18. She's been impregnated by her uncle. That's right, Michael Myers impregnated his niece because the Thorn cultists wanted him to make a baby to pass the curse on to someone else. Now, the whole idea of this curse, man, let me just get my head around it. Paul Rudd has a bit of an information dump in the film where he realizes that Michael Myers is always striking at the time of the Thorn, which is that triangle with the line, constellation appears in space. The Druid curse is about cursing a child and then that child making blood family sacrifices for the betterment of the village. So that child kills all their family, the village thrives, and then once that family line is killed off, the curse is then passed on to another child to do the same to their family. So these Druids apparently got hold of young Michael Myers back in the day, back in that first Halloween film, cursed him to kill his family for the betterment of Haddonfield Village. If I had a drink every time this movie made me wonder what the hell was going on, I would have gone through a case by now. So that's the main conceit of the film. So that's why Michael has impregnated Jamie to have a baby, so that can be his final kill, right? He's got to kill the baby. That bloodline will now be deceased because Jamie, he has killed her in this one as well. Well, he didn't actually kill her. So this is where it gets confusing, because the theatrical cut, Michael kills her quite viciously and bloodily in that film, and the baby is missing. But he kills her involving a tractor or a hay bale or something, I can't remember. But in this one, she survives the attack. He only stabs her. She's wounded. Michael goes to get the baby. The baby's missing. She has actually left the baby at a train station in a cupboard in a toilet, where Paul Rudd finds her later on. She's at a train station, like I said, and she's calling a radio station because it's Halloween and they've got some weird radio show. There's a weird guy in it, and he gets killed later on, which is no great loss because he came across as a bit of a tool. She calls this radio station up to warn people that Michael Myers is coming back and asking for Dr. Loomis's help. Loomis is back. Donald Pleasence is back. He's retired from his previous life as a doctor, and now he's writing a book. And then Wynn turns up, who was in the first movie, to get him back to Smith's Grove to do some more doctoring work. Don't understand the psychological field that they work in. I don't know why he needed him back. It's not really clear, but he wanted him to come back. And then, of course, they're listening to the radio at the same time as they're having the discussion. And then he hears Jamie's plea for him to come and help her. And of course, he's back on the trail to find his great white whale. I can't believe this is his last movie. It's so sad. So he goes back to Smith Grove, and Michael's on his way back to kill off the baby. He's hunting for the baby, who's been abducted by Paul Rudd, who lives across the road in a hospice, which is from the Myers house. Conveniently enough, he lives across the road from the Myers house, where the Strode family, the relatives of the family that adopted Laurie Strode, now live in the Myers house. Conveniently, again. Now, according to Dr. Loomis, he's coming back to kill the baby, and he'll kill anybody in that house because, as far as he's concerned, anybody who lives in that Myers house is family. So he'll kill you dead. Or if you just happen to get in front of him on the street in the middle of nowhere, he'll kill you dead. Anyway, like the radio announcer. He's doing a show, and he wants to go and do the show at the Myers house. He's talking to young Tim Strode, who is out with his girlfriend Beth, and they're being interviewed by this guy for some reason. But Beth ends up telling the story to the radio house about how the Strodes are now living in the Myers house. You know, the most infamous serial killer in history. So the guy wants to go to the Myers house and do his show from there. This has got nothing to do with the plot. It's just another killer racking up, because the radio host is a bit of a jerk. He's called off the show until they get back to the Myers house so they can continue. He's on his phone to his producers, I guess, and he's rambling, saying what a shit job this is. Why did you send me here? This is a waste of time. And he can't find his van in the parking lot. Ends up leaping into the van that comes from Smith's Grove that Michael must have stolen to get to Haddonfield, and parked at the place where they're doing the radio show. So he's in the van waiting, and this radio host, instead of getting into his van, gets into the wrong van and is promptly killed. And then later on, decorated with what looks like Christmas lights and stuck up in a tree so that he can bleed onto a young girl who is singing that it's raining red. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, people. This is a weird movie. Still, better than what I thought, which is really, really saying something. So we've got the Strode family. Cara and her young son, Danny, go back home. They're estranged. Cara doesn't get on very well with her father, John Strode, played by Bradford English. He's a real chomp. He's rude, mean. He's slapping his daughter. He's mean to the wife. He's a real prick. So when he gets killed later on, it's really nice because you don't like this guy. And the wife, Mrs. Strode, played by Kim Darby, who I first saw in Teen Wolf 2, I think. Yeah, that's how I know her name. I like her. She was nice. She gets axed to death out in the laundry. Yeah. This movie's not really gory either. Apparently the producer's cut is a lot less gory than the theatrical cut. But when it comes to these kind of films, I'd rather have a bit more of a coherent story over the gore. But it really is much of a muchness because they're both still fairly mediocre movies. And then, so Paul Rudd has found the baby at the train station. He's looking after it in his little place across the road from the Myers house, the Strode house, where he's been spying on Kara with a camera, just watching her for creepy reasons. And everything comes to a head. It's really quite weird and it's hard to explain. I've just watched it and I really have forgotten almost everything already. It's just that we then have the cultists. Wynn turns out to be the leader of the cult, and they're trying to sacrifice this young baby that Paul Rudd has. He didn't do a very good job because the baby actually got stolen from him, and they're about to sacrifice it. Michael's with them at the hideout, which turns out to be the Smith Grove Center, the facility, I think. And they're about to kill the baby, and Paul Rudd puts on one of the robes and stops Wynn, puts a knife to him and tells everyone to back off, and then Michael goes on a bit of a rampage. And Paul Rudd stops him though. He's coming down the hall to kill them. They're trying to get away. It's Paul Rudd, Tommy Doyle, and Kara and Danny. They're trying to get away from the Druid cult, and they're going down the corridor and they're trying to get out. Dr. Loomis comes in and rescues them because they're locked behind the gate. They can't get through this gate. He comes through, shoots the locking mechanism, and they get out. And then Michael's about to attack, and Tommy, who has clued onto this whole druid business, lays down some runes in front of Michael Myers, and Michael Myers grabs Paul Rudd by the neck, about to kill him, and then Paul Rudd says, "Sam Hain," and Michael Myers just stops, and they escape. Donald Pleasance won't go with them. He says, "Go far away, as far as you can." So Tommy, Kara, and Danny drive off into the sunset. Loomis hasn't finished his business with Michael Myers, so he goes back inside and he finds Michael Myers lying on the ground with his mask on and his suit. And he says, "It's all over, Michael, it's all over." Pulls the mask off him, and it's Wynn. It's Wynn. And then Wynn says, "It's your job now." Loomis grabs him, and then the tattoo, the Thorn tattoo on Wynn's wrist, transfers onto Dr. Loomis's wrist. And then we see Michael Myers walking away in the Man in Black outfit and off into the sunset, never to be seen again. Well, that iteration. And Loomis is left screaming, "No, no, no." And that's the end of the friggin' movie. Thank God. The end of that iteration of the franchise. Because the next one is H2O, which is a lot better. Now, like I said, the theatrical version I watched a long time ago, and a lot of the elements of the producer's cut were in that. I can't really remember all the differences between both movies. I just remember that the ending of that theatrical cut was just incomprehensible. There was a scene where Michael has, for some reason, attacked and killed all the cultists. They're trying to get away. Somebody is injected with some green stuff, and Paul Rudd's character violently beats Michael Myers almost to death. And I think that's almost the end of Michael Myers as well. And Dr. Loomis's character dies. There is some reshoots that they did where they completely changed the script that we got from the theatrical to the producer's cut. In the producer's cut, Wynn and Loomis are having a conversation which is as written. But then in the theatrical cut, Pleasance wasn't there for the reshoots, so they redid Wynn's lines completely and they meshed it all together, and it didn't make any sense. I can't remember completely what it was, but the conversation was like Pleasance wasn't even listening to him. So I remember that just being weird. And it just ended just so dour, and it was just weird and horrible, and I didn't enjoy it. But this version I found I enjoyed a lot more. Now this version you couldn't really get a hold of before. You could only get the fuzzy bootlegs. They have released it for the box set, which is really nice. And it looked good, scrubbed up really well. It was a clean transfer. And I found if I had to choose between the two of them, I much prefer to watch the producer's cut. I would definitely watch this one again, doing the retrospective that I'm doing. If I were to revisit these movies and plow through them again in order, I'd definitely pick the producer's cut over the theatrical, because it just was a little bit more enjoyable. Some scenes were lengthened, some shortened, and in the theatrical cut, a lot of the scenes were moved around. So those scenes have been put back to where they're supposed to be in this film, and it just makes more sense. Still stupid though. That whole druid thing. Really? The runes? Michael Myers was stopped by runes? What? Okay, well, at least he's going to get yelled at in one of the later films down the track and stopped that way. So anyway, the movie series as a whole so far is still... I still love them. I might be ragging on them a little bit here, part 4, part 5, part 6. Yeah, I don't love them, but I still really enjoy watching them. They're near and dear to my heart. It's a series that I've enjoyed watching for years. I've grown up on the Halloween movies. That first one is an absolute classic. It's near and dear to my heart. Part 2 also really, really enjoy. It's just that, yeah, after such heights, it is going to be really hard to kind of match that and maintain it. So we are on a bit of a downhill slope at the moment. I'm going to be doing H2O next, which showing my hand, I really, really do enjoy. So it's going to peak again soon too. And the Rob Zombie films, don't hate them. Don't hate me, but I don't hate those films either. Well, that second one is really weird, but the remake I didn't hate. So this film, yeah, giving it a rating 6 out of 10. If I was going to rate the theatrical cut, I'd give that a 2 out of 10 because it was just a mess, but it's been improved significantly enough for me to give this one a 6. It was fine. I still think 5 might be the worst in the series for me at this point. So I wasn't expecting to like 6 as much as I did. Previously monikered Halloween 666, the origin of Michael Myers. The things you know. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I put it on, dreading sitting through it for this retrospective, and then found myself kind of entertained and engaged by it. So it's quite a nice surprise. So anyway, guys, this is my Halloween retrospective. I've got 4 to go in the series that I'm watching right now. H2O, Resurrection, and then the zombie remakes. And then we have the brand new Halloween film coming out later this year with Jamie Lee Curtis back in the role as Laurie Strode. And I cannot wait to see what they do with that one. So far, the trailers have looked amazing. The reports of people who have seen screeners of it is that they're blown away. And it's going to be rated R, so we're going to get some nice, violent, gory kills in this one as well. And hopefully it's just going to remain true to that original essence of who Michael Myers was in that first movie. So I'm excited to see that one. I really cannot wait to have one of our true horror icons back on screen. Freddy's dead. Jason Voorhees is in limbo right now. Pinhead has run his course, but I think they're doing a reboot on that sometime. And Leatherface, he's trudging along. Just don't do any more of those 3D things, man. That was horrible. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking into my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Now, everyone will know the truth.
I knew what he was, but I never knew why.